This is Jeffrey Nemhard, a student at Anne Arundel Community College. This is the MEC 140 computer class, and this is Introduction to Robotics. This is lab Introduction to Robotics Arduino Lab number 1. This first example is using an Arduino board with a 5-volt power supply to go to a 220 ohm resistor to a push button LED in series. The circuit is built so that it will light the bulb when you push the switch, which I'm going to do right now to show that it has been a complete circuit. You can see the light does light, and you see the power supply goes from the red cord, which goes to the positive terminal of the breadboard, and then it follows through to the 20 ohm resistor into the switch, and then from the switch it goes jumper wire to the LED light, and from the LED it goes back to the board onto the negative terminal, which then goes back to the ground. And that is the first circuit in Lab 1. This is part 2 of the same Arduino Lab. This is Jeffrey Nemhard again from the Anne Arundel Community College MEC 140 Introduction to Robotics course. And this is the second lab of the Arduino circuit, using now a double switch in series to each other. So therefore the light will now only light if both switches are pressed. So if I press one switch, it does not light. But if I press both switches, the bulb now does light. So again the circuit is the positive to the positive terminal, which then follows through to the resistor in series with the switches to the light, and back to the negative and the ground. So that is part 2, experiment 2. This is Jeffrey Nemhard again from the Anne Arundel Community College MEC 140 Introduction to Robotics class, and this is part 3 of the Arduino circuit lab, and upon which now the two switches have been put in parallel to each other rather than in series, so that now the light will light whether one, both, or the other switch have been pressed. So as I see, with one switch pressed, the light goes on. With the other switch pressed, the light also goes on, and if both switches are pressed, the light is also on. And again, the circuit board has the same schematic, the power going through to the positive terminal, through to the resistor, into the jumper wire, which goes to the two switches, which puts them in parallel to the LED, and then it goes back to the negative terminal. This is Jeffrey Nemhard again from MEC 140 and Arundel Community College Introduction to Robotics, and this is the Lab 4, where we're going to use the blinking LED. This was done by writing code into the Arduino, where we actually told it to use the actual pin 8. If you see that, pin 8 was used. I don't know if you can see that in the image. It's not really focused. There it is. So you see the pin 8 was being used, where we programmed it to blink, and now it's blinking at every half second, and that is using the Arduino programming to actually adjust the bulb so it doesn't just turn on, but it actually now blinks at a certain rate. This is Jeffrey Nemhard from the Anne Arundel Community College MEC 140 Introduction to Robotics, and this is the last part of the labs. This is the lab challenge bonus to make multiple LED lights blink. And as you see from the circuit, we have downloaded a new program that has allowed the bulbs to blink in succession based on a half-second interval. And this is using pin 8 and pin 7 for the bulb and LEDs in the circuit.